Well, since the beginning of the pandemic, what has been certain is the uncertainty of the future. And because of that, now more than ever, some people are preparing for what is inevitable, but often an afterthought: death. And the financial burden alone can be devastating if you're not prepared.
COVID cases wreaking havoc across the U.S.
Health experts say it comes amid a surge of new infections.
New cases this month already total.
People should.
Javier Lastra is now recovering from COVID-19 after 98 days in the hospital.
They're amazing people. But I'm grateful to be home and alive.
Go back 4 months ago. Javier was a 54-year-old healthy man with no underlying conditions. He started with the common symptoms of body aches and loss of taste and smell. He says after 10 days of dealing at home, he couldn't get much oxygen and wound up at Cape Coral Hospital for 2 weeks. Then his immune system ended up attacking his lungs, and he was airlifted to Tampa General Hospital.
2 forms of life support, the ECMO and the intubated, the ventilator.
Javier's family was going to be facing dark days ahead, the days turning into weeks, turning into months, to the point where doctors spoke to his wife about making final arrangements.
It was very difficult. I know my wife told me she even got up stood up on the bed and yelled at God and said, just kept yelling.
I think what stands out is how people have been frightened and the uncertainty of where we're at.
Javier's wife let Tim Hawk at Fuller Met's funeral home know what they were preparing for.
We did see an increase in what I would call the death rate, and it did have an impact on our business as far as we were doing more business, having more deaths, which we attribute to some of the COVID.
In the business of end of life, more deaths have an effect on supplies and services. Urns that had to be imported were temporarily put on back order. Tim says the supply may have slowed down a bit, but they have other resources and there's been no effect on price.
A lot of what we do is cremation, which directly involves the medical examiner. We did see a small delay in some of the processing of some of the paperwork, which I believe was directly related to the medical examiners being inundated with having to certify each COVID death.
Regardless of us being in a pandemic, Tim says it is a necessary conversation to have with your family first.
We're planning for a car wreck because we have life insurance. We're planning for a fire because we have homeowners insurance. We all have it, but very, very few of us have funeral insurance or pre-planning.
Fuller Met's business is made up of about 20% pre-arrangements. Cost varies. Think of it like a wedding. Similar to a wedding ceremony, there are endless options to say goodbye, not including the cremation or burial itself. Services can range anywhere from $1,800 and up. If you pre-plan, savings are in the thousands of dollars, not to mention the potential of an unexpected financial hardship. For Javier and his wife, they had already pre-planned arrangements even before COVID-19.
I wholeheartedly believe that you should have that done because it makes it easier on your family. They don't need to have to deal with the death and, having to make those arrangements as well. It's just not fair.
And we wish Javier and his family well. Tim has seen a decline in the last month or so as far as the number of families dealing with a death that's COVID-related. He does say they are prepared in the event things get worse. I called other funeral homes in Lee County. They do tell me they have seen little to no difference in volume of business.